Welcome to Human Spirit. I'm Rachel Hunter. In this episode, we get to speak with Dr. Ajit. He is an Ayurvedic doctor that is somebody I've known for about 8 years here in New Zealand. This is really an exciting episode because he goes into those three facets of your life. So the physical side, what are the physical signs? What are the mental signs? What are the spiritual signs? So he gets to explore that with you in this episode. And we kind of go into the mind as well with meditation. So it's a beautiful interview of somebody who has just such profound knowledge. So I hope you enjoy it, especially if you're really into health and wellness. This is an episode that you just can't miss. Dr. Ajit, thank you for coming here today.
Thanks for calling me, actually.
Yes.
That's a part.
I actually met you back in 2018 when I'd come back from India, and I was doing some talks and wanted someone to speak to Ayurveda, which is obviously one of the parts of yoga, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it's such a big embodiment when you look at it. Just so people can get an idea of the basic start of what Ayurveda is.
Well, on a simple level to understand, Ayurvedic medicine, Ayurvedic science, whatever we call it, is a holistic approach to well-being. It's not something in a new invention or something what we always talk about to pick up something new. It is a science, and it has been with us around 5,000 years old, right? But it actually is a systematic approach to our well-being.
Yeah.
And that well-being is not in the pills and the capsule which we always talk about. Well-being is when we are able to take control of our well-being, understand why I'm having any diseases, and that diseases can be at a physical level, mental level, emotional level.
Yeah.
And this is the approach Ayurveda share with us, that how in a bigger picture you can help yourself, you can take care of your well-being at every level.
I guess I want to clarify too, when you say disease, it's any kind of literally dis-ease in the body, whether it's an ache or a pain. It couldn't potentially be what we call a disease, but it is an uncomfortableness within the body, like with the change of the seasons, etc., right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That is what Ayurveda is all about. Prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Becoming more aware what is going in my body. And that might be simple imbalances at a physical level, that you wake up, you feel, I'm not feeling 100% fatigue, tiredness, my focus is not there, I'm feeling a bit scattered, my sleep is getting affected, my bowel motions are not moving fine, I'm not feeling hungry. So what are those? Those are the body's sign to me. Body talk to us all the time.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how we can connect with our body. Problem only come when we shut bodily intelligence, because Ayurveda is based on two very unique principles. One thing what Ayurveda talk about, that even though we all look like the same with the two eyes, two nostrils and one mouth, but each individual according to Ayurveda is unique. And that uniqueness is given to us at our birth time. This is what we call as your prakriti, your body type. In our Western medicine, we call our RNA, DNA factors, right? But they are based on this principle, that how your own bodily makeup can identify what is compatible for you,
Right.
what is incompatible for me.
Right.
And why we need to know that, some people always ask that, does it mean that I can't be healthy without knowing my body type? No, you can be healthy, but then you have to make more effort to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
Whereas once you know your body makeup, you intuitively can see what is good for me, what is bad for me at every level.
Yeah.
But if I don't follow that principle, that's where my problems will start, because Ayurveda say that each individual has a unique bodily intelligence. And as long as that bodily intelligence is in balanced state, body itself has the ability to flush out all the built-up of the toxin which can get built in every individual on a day-to-day basis. And that wear and tear which is happening at a physical, mental and emotional level is what bodily intelligence help to correct.
Yes.
But problem comes up when my bodily intelligence get affected, it will not be in a position to flush those toxins out, and they start
And it builds.
accumulating and causing the problem.
The one thing I want to just clarify just at the beginning of this too is there's no dismiss of allopathic doctors. I rely on allopathic doctors. I go to the doctor, and I think, can you clarify that there's a unity that can work there, and it's about gaining knowledge and working with it all together, because doctors have a place in this too. Very, very important place.
That is one thing everyone has to remember. Medical system has its own place. You cannot question that. Yeah. Right? But at the same time, we all understand, even our doctors understand that, yes, there are a lot of gaps.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And those gaps are what Ayurvedic science help you to fill. And what are those gaps? That one need to understand that what is the cause of my problem, whatever problem, simple hay fever or even serious cancer issues, why they can come to my body so easily.
Yeah.
And that relate with our lifestyle, that relate with our diet, that relate with our environmental, mental factor. And then we have to look at how the harmony between mind, body and spirit comes.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are the components. So hence, if someone's saying that, okay, I'm following Ayurveda or I'm following some other complementary medicine, I should not even look toward the Western medicine. No way. Western medicine has its own role, and
Absolutely.
you have to always go along with that.
Yeah, yearly checkups, doing your blood work, because it's incredible information, and I can't clarify with that. Everybody at home, please be smart and still use your doctor, but at the same time, it's this unison that works together is quite amazing when you get on that and share the information with your doctor. Now I'll go into sharing my personal journey too with being in Ayurveda, because I had no idea. When I first did yoga, I was like asana practice. Then I went to India and did yoga training, and then I was like, what is Jyotish, the astrology part? Then there's Ayurvedic, and I was just like, wow, it just kept unraveling, this incredible system within India that India has given to the world very generously, is when I would go into, I remember in Tura Beauty that I went into one of the doctors in South India. They took my pulse, and literally I couldn't believe it, because they were telling me things that I had done before. How do you read? How do you tell what disturbance is going on? Because I know, even you looking at me now, because you know me, I know you can see what my body probably needs and is going through. But how does someone, when they come to you, what is the first things that you kind of generally take in?
Okay, well, this is what we call as clinical diagnosis.
Yeah.
Well, clinical diagnosis in our Western medicine, we send people to blood report,
yes.
right? Then we start reading the blood report. If I need a client to go for scan or MRI, that's where the Western medicine role comes up. But when someone comes to us, we have certain very clinical diagnosis tool. For example, tongue examination. Now, tongue examination is such a simple thing, right, for people, but then they get a bit embarrassed that why I have to poke my tongue.
Yeah.
But for tongue, us as a Ayurvedic doctor, is a mirror of your inner health. Because on the tongue, we can see various physical or mental or emotional imbalances, prints, which can be picked up and can be shared with the client. Then the most important examination is pulse examination. Now, for us as a Western medicine doctor, pulse is just a count, right?
Yes.
Whether you are a nurse or a doctor, you will count the pulse, and pulse rate is up or down, or that's what. But for us, it is not just a pulse count. There are qualities which we try to relate, and those qualities can be at a different level. Then we can pick up the conditions, what is happening in different organs and the channels or the system we talk about.
And previous.
That's
like
right.
I've had doctors who told me like what's happened when I was younger, which is fascinating when you get the right doctor, obviously. And then once you've done that, then you go into like, you can see too by the person's hair, by the person's weight, right? Like I did panchakarma, which is a process that really can be limitless, because depending on conditions, where you go into somewhere for minimum 3 weeks, where I was under shelter, not exposed to any of the elements, all of this. And I did 21 days of silence. Panchakarma was harder than that. It was like everything was revealing. And some of the most simplest practices being done on the body, such as Abhyanga, which is obviously rubbing the body with a lot of oil on the nadis, which is the channels, right, of the,
Yes,
you can explain. But I have never, and I went in and I said, I only eat 2 meals a day and, I can't eat any more than that and da-da-da. And the beautiful patience of the doctor, the patients, not the patient, they just kind of wrote it down. Next thing, I was eating 3 meals a day. My body was just letting go. It was the hardest thing I've done, but it's just fascinating to be able to see the body change, adapt. It felt clean, crisp. So some of us are unable to do that, obviously, because taking 3 weeks off, and it is a process that you really have to nurture during that time. But can you speak to what you do in your practice for someone to be able to do at home after you take the pulse? Then you come up with the dosha, which is, there's 3 doshas, correct?
Yeah. So I will just elaborate on that so that everyone can understand, because your understanding is so in-depth already, right? Because the thing is, you have that level of knowledge where you understand about yoga, and you are not understanding yoga only from the asanas perspective. Yeah. This is what biggest part comes up in this part of the world, that when we talk about yoga, right, we only think that if I can put my legs up and down and left and right, I'm doing my yoga. Yoga has nothing to do with the asana. Asana is only one component, right? But you have to look at the bigger picture of yoga, what we call as 8 limbs of yoga. And if I'm not following them, right, I'm not doing yoga.
No.
For yoga, you have to live yoga. And the same comes up Ayurveda, which is a sister sort of therapy, you can say, or medicine, or a branch of this Vedic philosophy. And without Ayurveda, yoga is not complete, right? And that's what people need to understand.
Yes.
And what Ayurveda talk about, first principle Ayurveda tell you, know yourself. Know yourself means know your body makeup, so that you can start your journey very precise, very specific. And this body makeup is based on the 3 intelligence which are governing our body. We call them in Sanskrit language doshas. These doshas have specific characteristics, qualities, and those qualities will reflect in individuals' physical makeup, emotional, mental state. And once we are able to pick up, because those 3 doshas have specific functions too.
Yeah.
So, for example, if we talk about Vata, Vata intelligence is governing every moment in our body. And most important is your
head,
nervous system. That is where every conduction is happening from one neuron to the other, and message goes on even to the stomach. People say, okay, how come my secretions are coming up when I'm eating food? No one can explain, but Ayurveda give you very simple understanding that the moment you get food on your tongue, message get passed on to your nervous system, where we have one nerve we call vagus nerve, right? Vagus nerve pass on a message to the stomach. And that message, who is the messenger? Messenger is the nerve, but who is the guiding force? That is where the Vata's intelligence comes in. So this is how Ayurveda looked into. Then it comes to the Pitta intelligence. Pitta intelligence relates with the heat, or with the blood, or with the metabolic process at every level, cellular level. But then what that metabolic process is, in our Western medicine, we call it as that when you are having right amount of hydrochloric acid and enzymes get secreted in your stomach, they will do the digestion.
Right.
But who is governing that intelligence, that what amount of the hydrochloric acid need to be, and what enzymes need to be released at the right time and a right amount? So that intelligence is Pitta.
Right.
So this same way is with the Kapha. Kapha is your compassion, Kapha is your compactness, Kapha is your structure of the body. So once we are able to know that what body makeup I am, then my next focus is how I keep these 3 bodily intelligence in balance. And balance get disturbed when I have an incompatible lifestyle, incompatible diet, incompatible environment in which I'm living and working, and then my state of mind get affected.
Affected by it, yeah.
Now, what happened, again, people say, okay, where is mind? How I can see the mind? This is what many time questions comes up from our Western doctors also. In our Western medicine, we talk about psychology. In the psychology, again, mind role has been identified now very clearly, but we still relate mind with the brain, physical brain.
Yeah.
But Ayurveda say, no, mind is totally separate component. That is where the role of the non-physical aspect comes up.
Right.
And then the body, which is the physical part, your brain is there. And in brain, we have 4 lobes, and each lobe have different functions to perform and control the different senses and all that part. So all that component are same what Western medicine talk about, but Ayurveda looks a little bit beyond. It goes that who is governing that physical aspect. That's how it is.
Manas, Buddhi,
Chitta
and Ankara. Can you explain these? Because just simply by understanding how the mind works like this can actually help people just bring that down. Can you explain these?
Well, you have touched a very serious matter, but very sensitive matter, but very important matter. Reason is nowadays what we see more is mental health. Right? In our community, society, you can see mental problems are coming up a lot. Right? 30 years ago or 40 years ago, if you talk about, there were not much of the mental issues. But nowadays, those mental issues, whether we talk simple anxiety, worry, stress, panic attack, or then more serious problems comes up which relate with the psychiatric issues. So on that basis, as you will see, in our Western medicine, we have a role that, okay, mental health means you need to speak, go to your doctor or to talk to anyone and tell that I'm not feeling well. Then the doctor will do the job, give you anti-anxiety pill, sleeping pill, antidepressant pill. That is what mental health solutions we talk about in our Western. And that's where the role of Ayurveda comes up. Hang on, it is not. In mental health, you need to identify why I'm having these issues, from where they come up. And that's where this aspect, what you share of a non-physical aspect, we talk them. Mind, right, which is manas, and then buddhi. Buddhi is your intellect, right? An ability to analyze what is right and what is wrong. That is the part. And that again goes back to your bodily intelligence, that body speak. Body tell you this is not right. And that message is coming from the buddhi. But you have to keep your buddhi clean. You can't get that message if it is already clouded. Right? And that is where in everywhere we talk about that we are what we eat.
So it's the knowledge part, isn't it? It's refining that it's cleaning.
That's right.
Yeah.
But then people do understand that. But then when it comes to the mind, if we look at how mind works, mind has 3 characteristics, 3 qualities, right? We call them in Sanskrit like sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. If not to worry about the Sanskrit language, one you can say dull, one you can say stimulant, and one you can say stable.
Stable,
And these are the 3 qualities which need to be in balanced state so that mind functions can be working. This is what we call as harmony between mind and body. But if I keep feeding my mind with most of the dull kind of qualities.
This is your state of consciousness.
That's right.
Chitta.
So this is where the part comes up that your buddhi will get cloudy. Buddhi cloudiness means you won't be able to see the right path. You won't be able to understand or listen to the body because your connection between mind and body has now been distorted. And then your chit is your conscious. This is where the whole part comes up. Now, simple thing is, I'm talking to you, right? And through this message might go to the public also. And whatever I am saying, you might say that, okay, he is an Ayurvedic doctor, he must be speaking truth, right? So you can accept it. But my inner self intuitively know whether I am making you fool or I'm telling you the truth. And this is what we call as layer comes up on my conscious. The moment I create dark layer on my conscious, that is where all the problem comes up. And that conscious, that chit, is the connection between mind and higher self.
Yeah.
Because that's something we might go into too much of the other part of the Ayurveda, which is our spiritual journey and other aspect, but we don't want to go there. But still, for your well-being, you need your chit to be clean. Right? And then comes up our ahankara. Ahankara is your ego. Now, ego, everyone think, oh, it's a very bad thing to talk about. No, you need your ego for your existence.
Like a discernment.
Yeah, but when problem is when ego become egoism.
Yes.
That is where we end up into trouble.
So whether you think so much of, well, you can use it as a thing, I feel very little of myself, or I feel I'm so great.
Yeah.
But there's that part where is discernment, which is clear, strong, and able to move.
That's
forward.
right. Your existence is based on that ego part, which is making you your identity. Right? I need my identity to be there.
Yeah.
I don't need to be dependent on others. That is where that identity helps you to make every effort for keeping you more balanced. Right? And that is the role of these four antakarnas, we call them, right? Inner modes are of the body. But again, someone will say how I can find them. Again, these are not something you can find in the X-rays or MRIs and like that.
It's observation of self, really.
In the same way, now if we are talking about a little bit more on the deep of the Vedic philosophy, then we have 5 koshas in our body.
Yeah,
then we have 3 layers of the body. Then we have 7 chakras. Right? Now, if we go into too much deep of these, someone will say, oh, it's all hairy-fairy stuff. This is not. These are the reality.
Going back to the meditation part of it, obviously we are not talking to, again, using just Ayurvedic, but also if people do have suffered from trauma, this is where you do use a psychologist and the scientist. So again, for the people at home, please be sensitive to your own decisions, right? Once you start understanding that 4 aspects of the mind and the koshas, you need to eat. You need to have the ability to breathe, prana, like using that energy so it's not just sitting here. You know, manas being, there's a piece of cheese. Then Buddhi starts intellectualizing it. Is it blue cheese? Is it what? You know, blah, blah, blah. Then, you know, chitta comes in, it becomes your consciousness. And then all of a sudden, amkara, am I going to get fat from this? Am I lactose intolerant? I don't like blue cheese. So then the ignorance starts coming in and layers it.
Right.
And I think that description's so beautiful because really, originally, the cheese has just been a piece of cheese.
That's right.
But then all this process starts happening in the mind that we start creating stories, or like you said, just eat the cheese. That was delicious. Where did it come from? Refining that knowledge, or just don't eat the cheese. You know, and you can relate that to many different metaphors, I guess, on how we see things. Like the observation, I think, of consistently in Ayurvedic practices is basically you just keep refining and cleaning that consciousness, which is what you're saying.
That is the whole part, right? Because again, even we go back to very simple part of the diet. Right?
Yeah.
Because again, in Ayurveda, diet play a huge role in our well-being. And even now, our Western medicine is start understanding the role of the diet. But when we talk about the diets, many people will think, okay, I'm just eating my green organic salad. That is my pure eating, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm having this wonderful smoothie in the morning. That is my pure eating.
Yeah.
But Ayurveda tell about that. You need to look beyond that.
I know. I get so agitated too when I'm like, I just want my piece of salad, but being a Vata, it's like probably the worst thing I can.
This is
but
where
when
the
I calm
understanding is.
down, you know, it calms my body down. Eating warm soups or.
That's right. So this is where the understanding of Ayurvedic nutrition comes up, right? Ayurvedic dietitian can plan in a sort of program. And as you said that, what you do after your pulse examination, we create a 6 layer of the plan. An idea of that plan is not to make you rigid, but make you more aware that how you can start taking an active part in your well-being.
Yes.
First part comes up where we have to share with our client what we call as our daily and seasonal routine.
Yes. Can you explain the daily seasonal? Because this is great things to do at home, right?
Yes. So when we talk about daily routine, what that daily routine means, so that you can recognize, identify that what is happening in your body and how you can eliminate that early stages of the built-up of the toxin.
Yes.
Right? So that they don't go. First example I will give you. Every one of us, whenever you want to wake up, means I'm not going to get into that you should wake up before sunrise, but that's okay. No. Right? But even whatever time you have to wake up, 6, 7, whatever. First thing what you need to do is straight away jump out of the bed, go to the bathroom, look at your tongue in the mirror. First thing you need to look at. And every one of us, you will find a thick white coating will be there. Now I'm going to get a bit more on that. What is that coating? That coating actually is nothing but the accumulation of the toxin which your body has produced. But problem is, if I don't take care of that and start doing my all the things, whatever the things are, those goes back into your system and they become the first part of your problem, because those toxins will start depositing in different areas and they go naturally to the weak area. Now, first thing is, what we need to do, simple. The moment you wake up, brush your teeth, no matter whatever type of the toothpaste you are using, and then use a tongue scraper to scrape your tongue. This I can assure all of you, at least 40% you are taking control of your health by eliminating that built-up. So this is the one part of the daily routine. In the same way, there are other routines, like we start the day by giving them in a simple detox drink. Purpose of that is that on the other hand, you will see a lot of people will say that, okay, I need a cup of coffee to give me kick.
And that,
So, but that is not the right thing, right? So that detox drink will help to clear up your system. And what kind of detox is not something that you have to have an olive oil and then lemon or kind of thing. You just take a glass of warm water. In that you can grate fresh ginger, right? Just half teaspoon of lemon, fresh drops, and then half teaspoon of honey. And that, why people say, why I need to have honey, why I have to have lemon, it is in a specific reason, because ginger work as a scraper.
Right.
Honey act as a binder, lemon act as a flusher. So that becomes a wonderful, simple detox drink for you.
Wow.
That's the day you can start.
I have to say, just on my own personal, because a few months ago I had a parasite, and through specific testing, through diagnosis, through my back end. Anyway, after I had to go on medication for that, and I was like, how am I going to get my system? Because I could feel, but I had to go to the doctor.
That's right.
I got the medication. I needed the antibiotics to get rid of this little friend. And I called you up and I was like, God, I could feel in my body that there was a lot of heat in there. And you could see too. So I did a Zoom call with you. And I went back to the tongue scraping, but now I do it and I sound like a bit of like a guy in the morning. I'm like the cleansing. And even though, like, you'll hear this all the time during different cultures, the cleansing in the morning, even though the sounds, you're like, why is someone making those sounds? But you need a cleanse. And it's incredible what you do by just eliminating that and the color of it. And
That's right.
I mean, you get curious in the smell of it, whatever it is, you're like, oh my God, like this, that's gross. And then when you brush your teeth.
Sorry to interrupt you. When you said the smell part, again, I will tell people, because look,
it's
idea
important.
is,
it's wisdom.
Yes, because if people can see themselves, they can understand what it means.
Yeah.
One thing I will tell everyone through your message, that when they wake up in the morning, don't take that saliva which has come in your mouth
Swallow it.
Just try to hold on. Go to bathroom.
Spit it.
Take a container. You can prepare this night before and spit your saliva in that container. Leave it on the kitchen or your bathroom. Close your window if there is a window in your bathroom and the door. Right? for at least 1.5 hours, if not 3. Close the door, close your bathroom for 1.5 hours. And then after 1.5 hours, open the door. And if you will be brave enough to stand there for 10 seconds, you can always call me that there is nothing going wrong with my body. That bad putrid smell is of what is in our mouth. And just presume we take that all the time
into our gut.
And where it goes and what it does to our system.
What do you feel? Because I know a lot of people ask about panchakarma, because a lot of people go, I did panchakarma and I ate lots of fruit and I went to the beach and everything. You know, when I did mine, it was, you're not allowed out in the elements. And after 3 weeks, and my biggest problem was my mind, clearly, because I'm always thinking out here. But even learning to put a beanie on my head, putting socks on, you know, keeping the feet warm during the change of seasons. Yeah. This is a time that we're in the change of seasons right now. The basic, if you've got cold feet, putting socks on, putting a hat on, putting a scarf around the neck, putting it over your neck. Like when I go to India and we're in Haridwar and we're going through the change of seasons, you need a scarf to keep your ears warm. Yeah. You need to plug. So you really learn and you look at the way some cultures live, because then you start understanding why there's so much covering up with as far as when the change of season. So can you speak about the different types, Vata being someone who needs to cover up more, Pitta and Kapha? Yeah. Can you speak to those
As
three?
I said first, that again, there are specific plan for each individual to keep your bodily doshas in balance.
And they're mixing all the time, right? They're fluctuating.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then comes up the seasonal understanding.
Yes.
This is what we call as in Sanskrit, Dincharya and Ritucharya. Din means day, Charya means your practices, and then Ritu means season. Right? So what are the seasonal practices? Again, idea is nothing means such a sort of serious to understand. It's very simple. We all understand that each season has different qualities. Even just the winter, which just gone now, you can see winter is cold, damp, moist, heavy. Right? Now, what that understanding comes up, that you should be avoiding those kind of activities and food to add in your body.
Right.
But if I will be adding in winter more dominantly, this is what we call as 21 days meal planning, which is always cold, damp, moist. What you do, you increase kapha element, which is moistness, heaviness, right? So moistness comes in the form of mucus. That is where your mucus will start building up in your, that's where you suffer.
That's what's happening to me right now with the change of seasons, where you're starting to see hot, cold. So that part of cleansing and scraping and eliminating is very important. Yeah.
Very important. That is where, but the problem is when we have this winter season and still eat our wonderful ice creams and all those smoothies and other things, that's where the congestion comes up. Yeah. In every level, what we call a cellular level, deeper level, your lymphatic congestion start becoming, you become more sluggish, you become much more mucousy in your chesty area. Yeah. That's where it naturally will accumulate. You will have a lot of cough, wet cough, and then people who suffer from asthma or pneumonia, that's where the problems start going. Yeah. Now, in that situation, people will say, okay, I have to go to get my antibiotic. How often you will get antibiotic? That is where the role of Ayurveda comes up. That while you are taking antibiotic, which is fine, but then antibiotic is also impacting your immune system. Yeah. And you keep becoming more and more prone to the problem. Right. It's in a vicious cycle. But at the same time, if you have to take antibiotics because if your mucus has become now more greenish and yellow, then it means it's getting much more deeper.
And you take care of that. And then come back.
But then not just take antibiotic, then listen to your body, and that's where the role of Ayurvedic practitioner can come up, and they can guide you that while you already got this mucus and you're getting it clean, but you need to follow this plan now. Yes. And that's where it plan will becoming daily regimes and the diet, right? Yeah. And these considerations are very important for everyone to understand that by understanding your constitution and by understanding the seasonal consideration, 90% of our problems can be taken care of.
So how did you become an Ayurvedic doctor?
Well, again, as I mentioned, that in India, you can choose which line, because again, as I mentioned in the beginning, Ayurvedic science is not something that it is created by someone. It's in a systematic science and has been well established form of medicine even before the Western medicine comes up, right?
Yeah.
And it has the same principle. It's on anatomy, physiology, which you can relate with our Western anatomy and physiology, but it has the pathologies component, which is a totally different way of identifying, because we look at the core cause. Then Ayurvedic nutrition is there, then women and children's well-being, and then the process of Ayurvedic herb, which is a pharmacology component, a huge, right? And then the treatment part. So it's in a complete that component, what we call as, that is why the 8 branches of Ayurveda we talk about, what relate with the Western medicine. So becoming an Ayurvedic practitioner or Ayurvedic doctor was not my choice, honestly saying to you, but my father always wanted me to become an Ayurvedic doctor. And I was always, means when we have this conversation in that time when the admission process has to happen, because after your, here we call it as your schooling of year 13 or so, and you have to go to the university to do first year. In India also, this is what we call as pre-medical, and then you have to go to the universities and give the test and decide that which branch you. So his focus was that if you want to become a doctor, that is fine, but then you need to learn your own science, right? So that, because he asked me one question, that what is your purpose of becoming a doctor? And I said that I want to heal people, I want to help them. So that, and then he said that if you have that intention, you can do in either way. Then why you have to always look for the Western medicine? You can just do by following your own traditions and principles and take it to the public and communities. And that's what happened, right? Wow. I said, means sometime when you are young, you can't see certain things.
And especially at that time, that's what was so, that was the thing, right, to do.
I always have said to everyone, every student of mine, that his vision I can see now when I graduated, because he might be able to see certain things which I was not able to see, right? That where he might end up in his life. So that's what happened. Once I graduated.
How many years do you train?
6 years you have to study, university level, then you have to do the internship in the hospital. And then I become an Ayurvedic doctor, but I joined Government of India for 19 years before moving out to come to New Zealand. So the moment I came out of the school, it was very much clear to me that why my father pushed me, or not pushed means advised me that you should take up Ayurvedic medicine. Because in that approach, because we have to study our Western medicine also, right? I was able to compare and understand that how Ayurvedic approach can give us a much more wider scope to help people.
Yeah.
And that's what made me feel now so much thankful to his vision and his guidance and his persistence that you should go for this science. And it gives you satisfaction. I'm not saying that Western medicine does not give you satisfaction, but yes, moments are there when you know that I'm just giving antibiotics or writing a blood sort of test to do that.
Do you work with some doctors too that are allopathic, that you're like, you work in unison with? Like,
well, again, most of the time we have Western doctors who understand about Ayurveda. Even in Australia where I teach, every year I have one or two Western doctors who are coming and learning Ayurveda, right? Because it is becoming such a sort of therapy now, where people are ready much. In USA is already coming up as an integrated medicine. Now the functional medicine has come up, which again actually is nothing but taking up the principle of Ayurveda to help people and giving them that. But then again, it has still its own limitation. Whereas Ayurveda gives you that, yes, you can incorporate Western medicines also, but you follow the specific plan, whether it is for your mental health, whether it is your physical health, that will give you a much more deeper outcome, what you are looking for.
And what does the human spirit, how would you say that in Sanskrit?
Okay. Spirit, human beings, means body basically. That is where your part comes. Spirit is your Atma, right? Spirit, we call it what is again your identity. In Ayurveda, we talk about Paramatma. Paramatma means supreme spirit. And then you have your Atma, which is Jivatma, individual soul, right? Individual spirit. And what this human spirit aspect is giving you the understanding about who you are, right? If you can know what is your source, right? From where you came and where you should go. This is what in Ayurveda or Vedic philosophy we say, that we are living in this creation. We enjoy everything here. But this is not our true home.
Yeah.
Our ultimate home is to merge with the higher self. But then we have been so much separated due to our own choices. And we have created so many of the dark layers on our chit, which has then disconnected our own spirit from higher spirit.
Yes.
And the purpose of Ayurveda or Vedic philosophy or yoga ultimate is how you can recognize that your true home. And if you can seek your journey, seek this life to reach to that state. Because we do everything in every life, whether you are an animal, whether you are a lion or whether you are a dog. You still eat, you still do the procreations and everything and all the eliminations, everything happen. Only one thing you can't do, what you can do in this life, human life, that in human life you can understand about the purpose of your life.
Yes.
And purpose of life is only to have a moksha. Moksha means liberation. And that liberation again, look, this is where the role of Ayurveda comes up. Ayurveda say, leave that liberation understanding a little bit further. Because what you need to understand is self-realization is the first part. God realization is very higher level. But self-realization is what you need to learn here.
It's these pockets of moments, these jewels that just drop in and you're not agitated by that person anymore. No. They're just being in their nature and you accept them for where they are in their nature. It's not disturbing you, which again, that helps your own jiva, your own soul, your own journey, your own physical body be able to be liberated. And so it's funny when the self-realization are just take those little jewel moments and fully move through them, right? Not, oh, I just wish them peace and love. That's not dealing with the problem, right?
No. Because that is the whole part. Self-realization means to become a good human being.
Yeah.
For yourself first. Look at yourself. Whether I'm doing my dharma, whether I'm doing my all the four aims in life, right? And that is what the part of Ayurveda comes up, that it makes you that you need to respect your body.
Yeah.
Don't abuse your body by putting whatever you feel under the senses, right? Yeah. You in your day-to-day life to eat, and don't cloud yourself and don't do the cleansing on a daily basis. And when you have that harmony, that is where your mind, body, spirit comes up and live in harmony. And we can enjoy every moment of the life, whatever has been given, right? And enjoy it where we are, and then ultimately can carry on our life.
But a deep bow to your country too for having so much incredible wisdom and seeing it just spring forward into the rest of the world. It's beautiful. Seeing all these ancient cultures and these coming out and really being acknowledged now, I think is so pivotal in our evolution to incorporate.
But I will add here that while knowledge is, coming from India or various culture, but I think we should be thankful to those who can recognize it, those who can understand, and then incorporate in their life. No matter what culture, what caste, what creed of person live. Anyone can understand the essence of those principles and bring them practically in their life. We should bow to them.
I hope that you enjoyed that episode with Dr. Ajit. Truly, he is just a vessel of wisdom, and I hope to, in the future, have him again on to add another dimension of healing, which there are so many more in that field. That is the end of Human Spirit for Season 1. Season 2 is in the making.